Greetings, everybody. I'm Dianne Thomas, and welcome back to my Certified High Performance Coaching Training Series in support of Dianne's CHPC Recertified Project 2017. It's an online crowdfunding campaign hosted at Generosity by Indiegogo, and it was created to help me raise the funds that I'll need to certify as a Certified High Performance Coach in June. Now, the campaign launched on April 17th, and it runs through May 26th, and this is a training series that is accompanying that to cover the 5 pillars of high performance. From Monday through Friday, I've been focusing on 1 pillar per day. So Monday has been clarity, Tuesday has been energy, Wednesday has been courage, Thursday has been productivity, and Friday has been influence. And so you can get any past videos. If you take a look down below here, you see a link to my YouTube channel to check out any of the videos you may have missed, as well as a link to my Indiegogo campaign page so that you can participate either as a financial contributor or as a partner, because I am still seeking goods and services that I can offer as incentives to visitors to the site. So thank you in advance for doing that. Now today I have a couple of special guests. One of the things I wanted to try to do during this series is, of course, have you hear from other people outside of me, but certainly to probably broaden your perspective of what you think certified high performance coaching can do for you. And because I know a lot of people may not be very familiar with coaching and how it can help you move you towards your goals. And I know oftentimes young people don't necessarily think about it, first off, in terms of where they're at, particularly if they're early in their careers or, just their life in general. So I wanted to give these 2 young ladies the benefit of having me right here and being able to get some one-on-one. This is going to be essentially what I would do with a free strategy session. So I have an opportunity to get to know a little bit about them and what their high performance goals are. So I'm going to have them go ahead and introduce themselves, and then we're going to move into the free strategy session demonstration, so to speak. So start with you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ema. Hi, I'm Nia.
And what do you all do?
So I am a recycling specialist down at the Georgia Congress Center Authority. I don't know if that's too specific.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I work in sales. I work at Bisco Industries.
Okay. Now, what they've done is completed a questionnaire, and generally that's the way this would go. If I were to talk to you on the phone and you're interested in getting a free strategy session, which you can visit my website at dmariethomas.com. There is a drop-down menu there under Certified High Performance Coaching. If you're interested in doing that, it's free of charge, 1 hour over the phone or by Skype, so you don't have to fight traffic or anything to get to me to do that. So what they've done is completed the form, and it's a couple pages, but it's very brief. And I had them rank their feelings of accomplishment or where they felt they were in those 5 particular pillars. And then they answered some specific questions around what their goals were. So what I'm going to do now is just ask them some general questions about their rankings, why they ranked themselves the way they did, and then we'll move into talking a little bit about their goals. And we're going to cover clarity and courage today. So generally, a lot of times, that's all the time, we may have, depending on how quickly we move through, because we have 2 people here. I know it's probably not going to be more than those 2. So we're going to start small, I guess, and see how we move through that. So I'm going to wear my glasses because I'm visually challenged at the moment. Okay.
Yes, we are. Right.
So, Ema. When in filling out your form, you pretty much, I guess, was middle of the road in terms of your productivity. And the question was, are you consistently focused and effective? And are you good at minimizing distractions and maintaining priorities? And you put yourself at a 5 there. What are you specifically, what would be your goal number anyway? Ranking yourself from 1 to 10 as this was set up, where would you like to be? Are you happy being at 5, or would you want to be?
I would want to be, if I'm being honest about my productivity in that regard, I would probably want to be a 7 or an 8. And I say I'm a 5 now just because I do find that I get easily distracted at times just because of the nature of where I work. There are a lot of distractions. There's always something going on. There's always something that needs to be addressed outside of my daily duties in terms of recycling and trash hauls and all that good stuff. So when those, I'm typing out emails or whatever, there will be someone who might say, okay, well, you have to pause that, and I need some sort of spreadsheet done on X, Y, and Z that apparently needs to be done right then and there. Or I'm just in the mindset where I'm like, okay, well, I'm feeling a little brain fried at the moment, so I'm just going to take a little breather and catch up on my text messages or something. I don't know. I've actually not been playing games lately, so I'm proud of that. Congratulations. They used to catch me playing Plants vs. Zombies all the time. So, that is an improvement. It could have been a 3. So, but yeah, so 7 or 8.
Okay, so are you, that's kind of generally something that you hear most of the time from people in terms of work stuff, that they're feeling that they can't really focus in the way they want because they're being torn in a bunch of different directions.
Exactly.
How big is an issue for you? Is it for you? Is it something that you're actively trying to get on top of, or are you just kind of accepting the way it is and going with the flow type of thing?
I've accepted the way it is and gone with the flow, just because that's, of course, who I am as a person, and then also because of the workplace culture. It seems like that's almost how you have to be to address things as they pop up. And it's not like a fire, but it is just like, oh, okay, well, stop that, pause that. That's not the priority at the moment. This is the priority because this show is in the film.
Okay. So you kind of pretty much accepted that in terms of work. Was that what you were thinking about when you gave yourself a 5? Was it work more so than personal? So you're pretty much on top of your personal life in terms of productivity?
No, in terms of personal life, it might even be 4, just because I feel like I need to think much stronger what I want out of my personal, my personal goals, basically, what I want to accomplish in life, in the immediate, what is the outlook for the 6-month, the 12-month, 18, 24, etc. And once I have that down, maybe I will be better in terms of that productivity, instead of seeing, okay, well, my outlook on a goal of mine where I want to live overseas, that's been a forever goal of mine, but it's just so off into the future and vague that I am not making any current progress towards it. So that would definitely be a 4 in terms of productivity and reaching that goal. Okay. And I know that if I outline it and figure out the small steps to take to get to that point, then I could improve upon that productivity.
Is that a major quality of life thing for you that you want to aspire to, in terms of just generally with productivity, get more focused? And are you seeing where it's affecting your goal setting because you're challenged in that way? Do you have other things that are interfering with your ability to make those goals happen?
I think it's just because I've always been like a big picture thinker instead of like trying to find the minutiae of it.
Taking it in little chunks.
Yeah, it's just I need to get better about chunking it down into manageable pieces and making it so that these nebulous vague goals can become an actual reality.
Well, I'll say that one, I think, I asked you why if it was a quality of life thing, because, you know, a lot of us we have these ideas about things we want to do, like the moving overseas or whatever, and it's just something that comes and goes. And, you know, you're like, well, that's something I'd like to do, but, you know, I don't really see it, you know, in a practical sense, that me being able to do that. I think once you get started, like you were saying, really saying, all right, what can I do today that will move me a little bit closer to that goal of moving, you know, and that in this case, it's all about how you're able to break up the big thing, like you're saying, into small things. And so what one of my videos, I talked about the Eisenhower principle, and that actually may help you with some of your work stuff too. It depends on how much control you have over what you do have to do, but generally in terms of looking at, because you've got to be able to set a focus and then plan your day, plan your timeline through, so that you're getting that one, whatever that thing is, every single day. You're working towards making that thing happen. And you've got to be able to then prioritize, you know, have your projects, and then if there are people that you need to have inserted into wherever so that you can make that project happen, identify who they are, and then what are the things that you have to do every single day to make that thing happen. And that's how you kind of chunk it, like you were talking about. So if one of those projects is moving overseas, okay, who do I need to connect with? And then what are the little things I have to do? If I plan it over a 6-month period, what would I have to do to make it happen? So, you know, that's just one way of kind of looking at, because people like to sit around and make to-do lists, and then they're useless to me unless I do that. I have to do that stuff first, because, you know, otherwise it doesn't get done, because it's not moved in as a part of a bigger picture type of thing for you. So that's what I'll share about that.
That makes sense.
Okay, Nia. In terms of, let's see, I've talked to productivity. I'm gonna shift to your clarity question. You have yourself as a 7 for clarity. And so the question was, do you feel you're clear about who you are, your purpose, and your direction that you want to go in life? And you said a 7.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you need to do to make that a 10?
I would need to, I guess, write it down and like really like live it and believe it, you know? And I would need to make sure that I stick to that and build and make sure that I reach whatever goal that I'm clear of that I want for myself.
Okay. So one of the little practices or habits that I talk about in my videos with clarity is identifying 3 areas of your life and then picking 3 words that it's almost like you're putting it out in the universe through those 3 words, that's who you're going to be. It's around who you are, who you see yourself as, then how you're interacting with other people, and then what they call success markers. So what are the things that I have to do every day to be more, to maintain my success and to get to more success? And what I learned was, if I decide what those words are, which they may change, sometimes in a day they may change. You know, you put them somewhere, put them in your phone, and kind of to remind you 2 or 3 times a day or whatever. All right, well, I had said when I got up this morning, I'm going to work and I know what the challenges are at work, but I said that I'm going to try to make sure that I'm smiling and I'm as happy as I can be when I'm interacting with other people. And then it's 10 a.m. and you got an irate customer on the phone and they're, you know, and let's say you have your alarm go off at 10 a.m. and you look at your phone and you're like, I'm supposed to be happy and well adjusted. Because that's the thing about you putting it in your mind, you know, whether you write it down on a piece of paper or on a planner or you have it in your phone, it's something that is popped it up and it puts you in a, it reminds you, and it puts you back in the place that you know you need to stay in to get to, and then stay in so that you stay in at an elevated space. So that's a little tip. Okay. What we're going to do now is, and we talked a little bit about clarity, but I'm going to get a little more into clarity right now in terms of what, well, we'll see how many questions of these we're not going to probably get through all of them. I'll ask you both a question about clarity, and you give me your feedback on there, and then there's a little teaching point that I want to kind of go through with you very briefly. So, well, you know what, let me ask you that because I just asked you a question on the clarity. So let me ask you, Ima, are there any areas in your life where you are truly unhappy? And what are you unhappiest about? And what could you do about it that you are open to sharing in front of many, many people? This isn't true confessions.
Right. Well, let me tell you. Let me bring a flashlight and turn the lights off, actually. But no, you all know, I think I'm a pretty easygoing, happy-go-lucky kind of person. So there is not a area that I'm truly unhappy with. I'm actually pretty grateful for what has transpired in my life. All the things that have happened, well, most of the things that have happened.
You're young yet, girl.
I know, right? I can't be talking.
That's all right. You shouldn't be having, you know, that's what I'm done.
But no. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head where I'm like, oh, man, damn, that was a bucket of suck. Okay. So I'm like, I don't know if I would have to like think about like an area of work where I'm unhappy, or an area of my personal life where I'm unhappy. I'm trying to think.
Well, how much you overthinking?
I'm an overthinker, so I'm like, let me stretch my brain and rack my brain.
Well, I just talked, you know, to Nia about the 3 words, and I guess what I want to do now is have you all actually do the exercise where you do think of those 3 words, because even though, you know, you do have some moment during your day where you probably, I'm really not wanting to feel like this, or this experience is threatening to take me in a certain space. Or, you know, in terms of your goal to move overseas, what do I have to do, or how do I have to think about my life that's going to get me to that space? So I want you to do an exercise with me. I want you to close your eyes for me and take a few deep breaths. Your mom was teaching us how to breathe the other day, about breathing with your tummy out and then in. Up to you how you want to do that. And then think of 3 words that might best describe your ideal self. 3 words that describe the best of who you are or who you could be. 3 words that you would be proud to have people describe you as, because they reflect the truest and best of who you are. You got them 3 words. Whatever comes off the top of your head is what usually most accurate. Got him? Nia, you got him?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your 3 words?
Mine?
Yeah.
Amazing, reliable, and consistent.
Amazing, reliable, and consistent.
Yes.
Okay, and what are your 3 words?
Happy, confident, and knowledgeable.
Happy, confident, and knowledgeable. Okay. Now, we got this on tape, but I still want you to remember what those 3 words are, because I'm serious about you putting it in your phone and setting an alarm. If that's what you wake up to in the morning, that's great, actually, because it'll get you set to how you want to move through your day. Okay? Because it sets up that intention, you know, for how you want to move through your day. So it's something that you want to always be aspiring to. I did a video on productivity, and I talked about negative self-talk. And it's really easy to get sucked up in the stuff that doesn't affirm who you are. And we tend to, as human beings, kind of just languish in negative. That's just kind of how we're programmed. So that's why this practice is so good for pulling you out of that space. Now we're going to move to courage. All right. And I wanted to pick these 2 because I think particularly, and we're going to talk about this briefly, and then I just want y'all to just give me your sense of, because this is about the 2 of you, but then more broadly, I would be curious to hear what you think your generation and others like you, you know, in age range and, you know, similar disposition, are most challenged by in these 2 areas in terms of clarity and courage. But we're going to do the courage thing in terms of the book first, and then now let's see. Let's start with you first. So Nia, you put your courage at 6. There's a reason why it's not higher than that. Are there any areas in your life you feel you could be more bold and take more action?
I feel like I know how to express myself and my opinions and my feelings on things, but I know that at the same time, I kind of, how do I put this? Like, I don't do it for every situation, even though some people would be like, oh, well, you could have said something, but I'm just kind of like, whatever.
Is that because it just doesn't mean that much to you?
Partially it's because it doesn't mean that much, and just the effort of going through all of it is just kind of
it's not worth the energy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So. Okay. Well, I mean, that's fine. If you're like, hey, it really doesn't matter to me, and it really doesn't matter, like you're not carrying it around, then that's fine. It's just somebody else's projection of what they feel that you should have an issue with, or.
But at the same time, there are some situations where I do agree with the opinions, but a lot of the time, if I don't see anything, it's usually because I'm like, yeah.
You're like,
whatever.
Feel that spiritual level.
Okay. Well, there's another exercise here, but I'm going to have y'all sit because it may be easier to do this in terms of logistics. Okay, so imagine you're standing, but you're sitting down. Okay, now, but put your feet flat on the floor because that's an integral part of it. So just kind of imagine where the ground is actually supporting you. So if you're standing up, generally that's how you're going to feel. So just try to stand and think of being as your most confident self and what that feels like. And imagine that you're standing. So that's a lot to ask. That's fine. Okay. Because in a moment, I'm going to ask you to think of maybe when were you your most courageous self? So just kind of settle with that for a second. Now, if you could actually see your strongest self standing right next to you, imagine how you would feel. And then also imagine, based on what you may have shared in your papers here, if you had to have a difficult conversation with somebody, imagine yourself standing next to yourself, trying to coach yourself through that conversation with that person. Can you visualize that? You have to close your eyes, you can do that too. And what would you be saying to yourself at that moment? If you can imagine that conversation, you're standing in front of that person, what can you imagine saying when that's happening? But you have to tell me.
Okay.
But again, I have been doing this series and been talking about courage and been talking about truth speaking, and to help you to see that your truth is yours. Nobody can tell you not to feel or not to have it because it belongs to you. Now, they may not necessarily agree with what you're sharing with them, but one of the post videos that I did, I was talking about empowering people when you're giving them maybe not the best or most pleasant information or conversation that you're having, is empowering them to either accept or reject what you're telling them by free will. And then I gave some examples, and one of them was, imagine if you had a spouse, which in your case actually might really be, if you had a spouse, hold up, if you had a spouse, I know you're like, wait a minute, not that part, but the part I'm about to say, where you said to them, I want to move. I want to leave this area. I want to go move overseas. And they're like, what? This is my home. We've done it. Blah, blah, blah. You imagine having that conversation. They're already setting up to be on the defense. Right. You can plan ahead to have a somewhat better outcome if you were to say to them, well, look, what if you got to choose where we went? So you're, in that case, empowering them. Now, first off, they'd be like, I don't want to go anywhere at all, blah, blah, blah. But particularly maybe if you've had the conversation in passing, then you can kind of say, well, look, we did talk about XYZ. What about these 3 places I'm thinking about? What do you think? Mm-hmm. So you're giving them, because a lot of times, and that's a simple, well, not really, for some people it's not simple, but generally when you're starting to have what people would call tough conversations, or what we say, well, who are you not being honest with about your needs, your desires, and your ambitions and what it's costing you? Mm-hmm. And so when I talk about the truth thing, because when you don't speak your truth, it's costing you something. So if you're then able to say, well, look, this is something I need to share with this person. Let me see how I can give it to them. Maybe over a number of conversations. Maybe you don't get it all cleared up one time. And maybe the first conversation, they're flat out rejecting what you're saying. But you're always coming back with the, okay, well, here's where you can exercise your free will. You can, in this case, maybe decide where we go, or, and easing them into being able to not necessarily, and that's where the influence thing comes in, which that's a whole other thing, but not necessarily that they're gonna cave in or anything, but that they feel that they had some role to play in making the decision and in helping you feel empowered to speak your truth. Mm-hmm. So that's, pretty much where that comes from. So, keep that in mind. Always try to see where it can be a win-win, if you can put it that way, or, so it's not a one-sided thing, because most people, we don't want to hear bad news, and we don't want to hear things that we don't want to deal with, but it makes it easier if, you can have some say and some control. Mm-hmm. So having said that, that's pretty much a generality of how a coaching session would go, and some of this would get into more detail if it was a different kind of situation. But right now, before we wrap up, I just want to get your impressions on what you think high performance means or should mean to some, you're 20-somethings, I ain't gonna give you age, but
19.
what do you think? 19. But I think my curiosity, I think a lot of people perhaps in my generation are really curious about what all the impact of things that we're seeing in the news and we're hearing that's happening. And we're concerned about the next generation coming up, and particularly making sure they stay focused. They get and stay focused on getting to moving away from the mediocrity that's gotten, the mediocrity in action really that's gotten us where we are. And looking, you know, honestly, we're looking to y'all to lead us to a different space. So is that something you feel as a collective y'all are ready and equipped to do? And if not, what are you concerned about y'all as a collective?
I think it's something that is possible because I feel like we are very bright. We know how to reach out to people as whatever medium you choose. We know how to reach out. Like, we have resources. We have, you know, the numbers, but I feel bad for being like I'm not completely confident, but I'm not completely confident because I feel like we are at the same time very distracted because we have so many other things to take up our time. You know, we have technology of social media, but then we get caught up in other news like pop culture, and we get caught up in all of that other stuff, and we don't really necessarily pay attention to the direction that we're going in as a country, as a people, and we're not focused on, okay, where we want to be here, and this is the direction we're going, and how do we change that? We have groups of people that do that, but I don't think as a whole we're there.
I agree with that because I feel like the current generation, or our generation rather, is more so focused on like I don't know how to put it, just not the future, basically.
Okay, y'all living in the moment.
Living in the moment, yes, but with that, it's just that folks do not actually want to think about the future as of yet. There are some people who do, but the future is just such a far off and nebulous and vague concept that why do I need to focus about the future? Why do I need to let me sound like an old 80-year-old? Why do I need to look at my 401k if I have one? Or why do I need to, you know, think about the long term? Because
I feel like we look at the future, but it's not in a realistic way.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not, a lot of the futures that people see for themselves aren't really, I'm not going to say attainable, but they're not seeing all of the work that needs to go into getting that.
It's just like when you piecemeal it down, it's like the big picture, which I'm guilty of as well. I see the big picture, but when you ask me how I'm going to get there, I'm like, oh, well, you know.
Or you have like a plan, but it's like, that's your only option. That is the only thing that you think will get you there. You know,
it's like I get living in the now. I do.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and I do it all the time. However, it's like when living in the now excludes a lot of planning and preparation that you kind of need in this life. And that may sound boring or whatnot, but like,
willful ignorance.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to think about it either, but then I kind of do, because it's just like, whoa, how am I going to go and live in Amsterdam somewhere, Barcelona, or freaking Brazil? I don't know, somewhere. It's just, how am I going to do that if I'm only thinking of living in the now and paying my months to months bills instead of saving up and trying to figure out who I can, you know, network with, or, you know, what friend I can mooch off of, or whose couch I can surf on.
So the general atmosphere, I mean, how much is that affecting you, the news that you hear and people's moods? And I mean, what do y'all talk about when you all get together in your, in terms of where you are and where you want to be? What's the conversation? What do y'all talk about?
Well, it depends on who my audience is. If I don't have a good rapport with you, I'm gonna be very closed off, and that's who I am as a person. Well, I take that back because Nia's always accused me of being the nice one out of the bunch. And I start up conversations easily, just talking to random people. And I'm like, why am I talking to you? I actually don't want to, but I do at the same time. I'm a strange beast. So it's like, I like making those small mini connections. I know how some folks do. You know, I hate small talk, and that's fine. But at the same time,
but when you're in groups with your peers and stuff, what do you all spend time? When you have a heavy conversation, what is it about? Do you have heavy conversation?
Yeah.
And then what are you talking about? I mean, what's the stuff that's top of mind?
Well, for you? Health, wealth, and well-being.
Man.
If I'm talking with a really good friend, I'm talking about what I want for my future and how, that may apply to me working where I currently work, or, I don't know, whatever comes next. Just trying to outline, or not even outline, but just play on each other's okay, well, what are you interested in? And how do you see yourself accomplishing that? And if we can collaborate in some way, how do you think we should?
So you're having those kind of conversations. Well, that's great then.
Yeah, I do. It's just that's not gonna happen with everybody.
It's not.
That's not gonna happen with most people.
No, so and that's why I guess I'm going for, because I think and that's just, you're gonna find that there's some people you're gonna connect with they serve different purposes in their life. So I guess what I am curious about, and it's assuring to hear that at least you're having conversations.
I want to preface this though. We're having these conversations, but I feel like a lot of our generation, we make these here and now connections. Nobody wants anything for the long term. People want it for the here and now. And it's just like, that's cool, that's whatever. I'll accept it. Everything needs to be quick, and what can you do for me, and how can you do it, instead of just connecting on that people level, however long that may take. Because I feel like to be able to open up and to discuss these heavy topics, you gotta have that connection. But a lot of folks in our generation, they feel like,
what you got?
Well, if you're really in this moment and feeling it now,
well, how are we gonna do this?
How? And it's just like, well, bro, calm down. Like, can we even get there? Can I open up my shell of steel and adamantium? Like, what?
Okay.
But
well, I guess it's not that terribly different in certain instances from when I was in my 20s.
People
as
go
well. I think though,
people are as different as every generation thinks they are from each other. People are the same.
Yes,
they have their motivation across whatever. That's why folks need to have empathy for their fellow man. That's what I think. That's why I'm actually interested in user experience design, because I find that is a field that, anyway, whatever. That's not. It's just no one has empathy for anyone. Anyone should stop laughing.
Yeah, there's definitely, that's the
and
difference.
You see
I
that
guess
in
if I had
America?
to say between y'all's generation and my generation, is certainly that. And I think it's just these gadgets have facilitated that separation.
Yeah.
But they facilitate it, but they also help.
No, it's a double.
Well, it should facilitate as opposed to replace.
Right.
And I think in many ways it kind of replaces that now. And that's I know that's kind of a strange adjustment I'm still trying to make to certain, because I would say, well, this person emailing me or texting me this crazy thing. I mean, why didn't they just pick up the phone and talk to me about XYZ? Because we know that, communication is best if it's face to face, if you can, if not a phone. And then
there's levels.
And depending, but it seems like now the lines are blurred. Nobody really knows, okay, when is it appropriate to email somebody as opposed to talking to, talk to them on the phone. And people hide behind a whole lot of these gadgets that we have. But, I think particularly as regards clarity and courage, it was just a curiosity to me, because I just wondered, as a generation, not saying y'all are necessarily spokesmen for all, millennials.
Yes, what we've noticed.
But, I just was curious in terms of, what's the
like deeper connection?
Where's the happy medium? Where were the divisions, I guess, in my head? I was trying to think of, is there clarity up to a certain point? Is there clarity about specific things and other things? The same thing with courage. Are you courageous around, whatever is familiar with you, maybe as a collective, but, maybe in terms of stepping out, because y'all are in young adulthood stage, and there are things that you are dealing with now that, honestly, as a collective that, the generation before you probably hadn't. So you all have to probably be courageous in different kind of ways than we had to, or even the generation before you had to do it. So I was just wondering if there's, some conversation around that. But that was good feedback. I mean, it's good for me to hear that. I hope you all had got some benefit from our young folks here and giving some perspective. And I think if you got young people in your family, it's really good to just sit and have, as we're talking about, in these gadgets all the time, and not having these conversations, and just finding out what they think about things. I think is key in terms of helping. It's a two-way street. I learn from them, they learn from me. Y'all can learn from each other. So hopefully, I don't know if this has set up necessarily any challenges for you, but certainly I hope you've been able to get a better understanding, certainly of what a free strategy session looks like. And if you're interested in that, please connect with me, and certainly hoping as well that you have a productive day. And thank you so much for participating. Bye.
Peace out.